Hello and welcome to another episode of Fully Charged. Now, just before I start, I just want you to listen to this. Just listen. Ooh. Now, let me do it again, because that is a really good... Oh, isn't that an amazing sound? That's like, there's no... There's no cling. It's just... It's just really good. So, this is the BMW 330e. It's a plug-in hybrid BMW. I'm just going to start it now. I haven't driven it yet, but I've been told how to switch it on, and that's always a good start. You can drive it in pure electric, which is what it's set in now, and you can drive it in hybrid mode, and you can drive it in save for later mode, so that you only use the engine, but you save the battery for driving, as we've discussed many times. Press unlock button to select a gear. Unlock. I can tell I haven't done it before. Ooh, now we're moving. Oh, that's nice. I'm not doing anything. I haven't touched a pedal yet. I've spoken to a couple of people who have driven these cars, who drive these cars, who own these cars, and they were so enthusiastic about them. And they were slightly kind of petrol head geezers rather than eco warriors, I would say. But they really liked it. Oh, it didn't want me to do electric only driving. It wanted me to use the petrol engine, which it suddenly did. So this is what a lot of proper blokes like these cars, these fairly small but BMWs, but with quite large engines, because they've got a lot of poke, they've got a lot of low-end grunt, they've got a lot of oomph, all those sort of things. Now, that is a very bad way of describing that, because what I'm doing is adopting, for those of you outside the UK, essentially a slightly working class British accent when I do that, so I'm going to do it again. They've got a lot of grunt, they've got a lot of oomph, because posh people like these cars too, because they're quite expensive cars. So this one is the plug-in hybrid. Oh, it's quite aggressive. All the normal stuff, I don't even want to, I'm not even going to say it, but I'm going to say it very quickly now. I've just realised I've got some paddles, so I'll look at those in a moment. But, you know, all the normal stuff of the visibility, the ride comfort, I can already tell it's a really solid car that's like joined to the road like that. It's a proper car for proper drivers who like doing proper driving. Rear-wheel drive, so you can throw the back out if you're on a disused runway, as we've seen many times on certain popular TV shows. I'm sure you can do all that with this. If you turn off traction control, you can do donuts and all those very important things. But what I'm interested in, as regular viewers will be aware, is whether it actually makes any difference to its fuel consumption. The official fuel consumption figures for this vehicle are 134 miles to the gallon. How realistic is that? I mean, it doesn't seem very realistic. A lot of people I've spoken to use it to literally for their daily commute. They don't use any petrol at all. And in fact, the petrol tank in this car is a specially sealed petrol tank, because petrol goes off if you don't use it. And so they've had to redesign the petrol tank to enable it to have a tank full of petrol for a few weeks, because you don't use any petrol at all. If you're doing 10-15 mile commute and you've got somewhere to plug in at work, like the guy who uses this car, he works at the BMW dealership. He said he uses zero petrol from Monday to Friday, and he uses a bit at the weekends when he goes on longer journeys. That is, you know, a lot of people criticise plug-in hybrids, and for very good reasons, and I think there's lots of reasons to criticise them, but I think that is brilliant. If there's, you know, 10,000 people who use zero petrol and they drive to work in cars and they've got somewhere to charge them at work, that's a big plus. If everybody did that, we would use staggeringly little petrol. Because one of the things it's important to point out and remember is, in this country, it's very crowded, there's lots of cars, the roads are jammed, people sit in traffic jams a lot of the time. What do you do when you sit in a traffic jam with a petrol engine running? You're wasting stupendous amounts of petrol. It's just daft. And in these cars, you don't. And I know modern cars have got start-stop technology, but that's really annoying. You don't notice this engine starting and stopping. As you could tell when I first got in it, I couldn't tell whether the petrol engine was running or not. I'm getting used to the controls. At the moment, it's telling me I've done 99.9 miles to the gallon. Well, that's fairly obvious because, you know, I haven't used any petrol to get along here. It's doing no, 9.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So I've got 126 miles of range with petrol, because the tank's about half full, and 12 miles of range with electricity. So this car costs, after the plug-in car grant, which I believe is still at around £2,500 in the UK, this car costs 34,200 and something. You know, it's got 5 seats. I mean, where I am is incredibly comfortable, I'll say that now. I'm sitting in the back. Yes, now I've been criticised, and rightly so, that I very rarely show what the back of the car's like, so I'm showing you now. This is the back seat of the BMW 330e, and it's very, very comfortable. It's got good support. I feel very supported and comfortable. Oh, the headrest isn't right. Now that is important. You must adjust your headrest. I've learned how to do that. You go like that, and you go like that. There we go. Oh, nice. That's good. Yep, I've got good visibility, so it's nice. Yes, I like the back seat. The back seat's nice. Oh, they can do doors. BMW can do doors. That's a good door. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh. That is. How can they make a door do that? It's so much better than normal doors. It's a beautiful door. Still doing 99.9 miles to the gallon. So it's got an 8-speed automatic gearbox. 8-speed, which are controlled by these paddles on the steering wheel. Oh, hello. Yeah. That's interesting. So, what it did is kick the engine in. This is the worst car review. I was determined to do a proper car review where I was a really confident car reviewer, and I've completely cocked it up. And we're right again. So what I was just testing then is if you can shift down through these 8 gears, whether you get any regenerative braking effect. And you do. But what it also does is it kicks the engine in, so it's not really designed to do that. So it's not like the regen paddles that you get on the Hyundai Ioniq. I suppose one of the things that when I first started doing fully charged, I'd just driven the cars I had. I didn't really know much about it. I hadn't driven a lot of other vehicles. Now I've driven dozens. I can't even remember how many. So you do start to, just by definition of experience, you do start to learn the differences between them. And you do appreciate then when a car is really well engineered and does what cars do, when people really appreciate them, and motoring journalists go on and on about how they drive so well and how they don't understeer or they don't oversteer. And you start to get a feel for that, because this car is just solid. It just doesn't wobble about. It just goes straight when the road is straight, and then it goes round corners when the corners. But I don't even know how to describe what it's doing, but I just know it's doing it really well. And I'm sure that is the same for the pure petrol version of this or the pure diesel version. I don't even know what BMW do with these cars. I'm sure there are 330Ds and 330Is that are petrol and diesel. I don't even know. I'm guessing that. I'll tell you why I don't even know, because I'm not interested. Because those cars are boring, and this car is just on the edge, just on the cusp of boring and quite interesting. So this car has 249 brake horsepower and can do 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds apparently. Okay, so I've just put it in sport mode, and I'm going to do a 0 to 60, because you have to. It's really, really important how fast a car goes from 0 to 60. I'm on a straight road. I can see there's nothing behind me or in front of me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yes, it's fairly swift. It's got 8 gears, and I got up to 3. It has a top speed of 140 miles an hour, which is really important. So that still hasn't. That's quite. It has affected my Mpg. I was going to say it hadn't affected it. It's taking a while to catch up. It's gone from 99.9 Mpg to 22. So I think that shows us that when you do that with a car, it uses quite a considerable amount of fuel. Wow, that delay is quite weird, and then it does kick in fairly quickly. Look what I'm doing. That was involuntary. I'm laughing because I'm driving a car much too fast and being silly. So there we go. So that works. You get the BMW smell. But that's really interesting when you're used to an electric car where your foot hasn't even got to the bottom of you going wham like that before it's off. This, that you go wham, then you get this weird little delay. Yeah, there. It's quite a long delay. So here's an interesting little thing. Okay, so the Mpg monitor that's on the dashboard goes up to 99.9 miles to the gallon. Well, if the vehicle has the genuine claimed range of 134 miles to the gallon, you're never going to know. It'll just always say 99.9. So why didn't they make it go up to 999.9 so you could see? And it makes you wonder. Presumably it's using standard BMW software that they use in all their cars, and they know that none of their petrol cars are going to do anything like that, so that's as far as they need to go. But it is very peculiar that if you can do over 100 miles a gallon, when you drive electric cars, as the man who drives this car regularly said to me this morning, you get a bit nerdy about it. You do. You want to see how far you can go and the minimal amount of fuel and the maximum range, and all those things are very important. And this isn't telling you. This is just stuck at 99.9. It's kind of pointless. I'm very, very conflicted about plug-in hybrids. I think they're a big step up from hybrids. All those are steps, but they're really like the first step. Like pure electric is what we should be aiming at 100%. And so these cars are always slightly compromised. They're more expensive, they're heavier, because they're very, very complicated machines. To blend an electric motor and a petrol engine together like they do in these vehicles is really complex and requires a lot of engineering and a lot of extra weight. But I am averaging really around the mid-50s Mpg in this car, and I can now see over 30-40 miles. So I'm getting a vague idea of what this car can do. It's not overwhelmingly brilliant. That's all for this episode. Have a look at the Patreon link below this video if you want to. Absolutely no pressure to do anything of the sort. Please subscribe. A lot of you have, and I really appreciate it, and it's fantastic. The subscriptions are growing every week. And what else could I possibly say? Well, I suppose if you have been, thank you for watching.